Hello everyone, hope you're all well. Yeah, thanks for responding to my invitation to tell me everything about yourself. That's all being put into a document which everyone's going to receive, so we all know who each other is and why we're here, what we're about, a little bit about our backgrounds. Have a look at that and familiarise yourself with the other participants and just see what an interesting group of people we've got together here. But the reason you're here is because we're all extraordinary people one way or another, and all of our experiences are really pertinent to pubs. And what I've always envisaged is for a whole bunch of people to come together who all understand the problems that we're facing in the pub sector. And we've all experienced, to some considerable degree, different aspects of the problem of the Great British Pub Co scam. And from the beginning, 10 years ago, I thought campaigning is great, campaigning is wonderful, campaigning is really exciting. But I began to understand that campaigning at a legislative level to change the law takes so long to get into place that by the time the law changes, the pub companies have changed. And so we can change the law, but we can't change the behaviour of the pub companies. And here we are 10 years later, and my kind of feeling has proven to be accurate. This is about being the change we want to see. This is all about imagining the ideal pub company that does what we expect pub companies to do, but they never do, which is basically invest in pubs and people and the places that they serve, instead of extracting from all of them, which is what the conventional pub sector does. And the market isn't coming up with a solution that can manage the problem at scale, because the conventional pub sector doesn't throw up solutions to the failure of the pub sector. The market throws up solutions that take advantage of the failure of the pub sector, which essentially is all about asset sweating pubs, asset sweating communities, asset sweating publicans, and selling the pubs for alternative use. It's become a very extractive business model, but within the overall pub sector, and there are people in our group who prove the opposite, that when pubs are invested in properly, they work really well. And there's a whole bunch of different people's experience that show that it's not just possible, it happens. When you take a failed pub, invest in it, and run it well, and stock it with great products, with knowledgeable people serving those products to customers who are essentially appreciative because their pubs turned into a nice pub again. Strangely enough, those pubs are very successful, and they tend to be award-winning pubs, and this happens again and again around the country, but it doesn't get the kind of headline news which the rest of the pub sector does, which is that the big pub companies, the extractive pub companies like the big six that we all know. So our cultural understanding of what's going on with the pub sector is that pubs are failing all the time. So in this group, we've got all the evidence needed to prove that it's possible to develop a radically different form of pub company from the conventional that is genuinely regenerative and sustainable. Our discussion is about how to turn that into a model that can be repeated again and again and again all across the country, from John O'Groats to Land's End, without losing the value of the good stuff that we see in people's pubs like Paul Crossman and Rob Starr, people at the Crawford Arms, and all the community groups that have been involved with Plunkett saving their pubs. It's not about homogenising the pub. It's not about homogenising the experience. It's not about homogenising the products that the pubs sell. It's about homogenising and systematising the things that are really difficult for publicans to do as individuals, because running a pub is a very complex thing. Anyway, so behind the scenes, in getting in touch with lots of different people to join this conversation, Joanna Harfield, who is called Joe Mowat on Facebook at the moment, is going to be putting an agenda together to send to everyone. That's to call us all to a meeting in a Zoom room. Joanna's got a local pub called the Three Cranes, which has been bought by a developer who's been doing a typical developer's thing and messing around with everyone. Joanna used to work for Luminar Leisure in the admin, fairly large clubs and pubs, bars, organisations, so she's really good at that kind of background admin stuff. And then the meeting is going to be chaired by Marie-Claude Hemming, who is the Director of External Affairs for the Civil Engineering Contractors Association. She used to be the policy advisor for the Federation of Small Businesses, and she understands quite a lot of the stuff to do with pubs because she was representing FSB back in 2009, 2010, when we were all part of the Fair Deal for Your Local campaign, lobbying the government about the beer tie. And then during the meeting, Emily Davis is going to be doing minutes, or after the meeting, we'll be compiling the minutes and helping distribute them. And she's a committee member at the Crawford Arms in Northamptonshire, Milton Keynes, and has been through all of the stuff that we're all familiar with, finding a pub company and so on and so forth, and getting it brought back into community use. Okay, so I'm looking forward to a really interesting meeting, and look forward to seeing you all soon. Cheers.